Everybody loves Ultimates figures by Super7. We love plays with the cartoon accurate J. Joe figures, Imp 9 reaction and also Ultimates. And what about the awesome Thundercats and the unbelievable Thunder Tank coming soon to everybody? And let's talk about many music action figures and the TMNT figures. And for the sixth time today, I have a very privilege to have on my show the man that believe in my show for the first time to everybody because was in the first episode of the show. So today, the guest of my show is the one and the only Brian Flynn. Welcome back to the show, Brian.
These songs get better every single time.
That's right. Also because
next time we need a harp and a violin to go with it.
I have a violin somewhere because I play violin not really well like piano, but I try to study violin a little bit. So man, you know me, you know that Mr. Alan in the beginning of every show have the same question. Do you have some update about possible Ultimates cartoon accurate Filmation Bravestar figures?
Not yet. Not yet.
But I still with finger crossed every day for that, man.
One day the Brave Star will happen.
Yes, because I think only Super7 can do that. Because only Super7 do the first time ever for many things. Like, for example, in my background, this awesome reaction, G.I. Joe figures, really popular. Also because the first time ever are cartoon accurate. But I want to cover a little bit something of the recent release by Super7. I have also some picture to share with you and to everybody. And let's talk about the latest wave of the Simpsons. Tell me something about the choice of this character and what is, if it was before to build this wave, other option, and in the end, you got this 4 character. Tell me something about it.
We all just kind of sit around and talk about all the characters we think are really cool or neat or that you really don't have much from. Like, lots of people have a lot of Simpsons stuff already. Like, what are some of those things that you might not have? And what's just fun to do? I don't want to make it seem like we're not thinking about it, but we're not overthinking it either. So, you should probably do a Flanders sometime, but Devil Flanders is way more interesting than regular Flanders.
Yeah.
Radioactive Man was great. Dedrick Tatum was one I really wanted to make because I was just like, it's ridiculous, he's wonderful. And then Homer Namumu was, I think that was Aaron and Josh were like, nope, Homer and Namumu, we got to do that. I was like, all right, let's do that. So sometimes it's not that much more complicated.
Yeah. Also because I feel that there is a good chemistry between the members of the Super7 team. So you are a good connection with each other. That's right.
Yeah. We all make fun of each other. That's basically how it works.
Awesome. And you did with Super7 many different lines in the Ultimates line. So in this concept, really cool. But what is your favorite and why?
My favorite line of Ultimates?
Yeah.
It's like asking me what's my favorite baby, We're all, we do what I think the difference is when we go into a line of Ultimates, we don't always make the expected characters, so what makes it so much fun and what I like so much about it is that we're willing to make all these oddball characters. And that's so across all these lines. So then I can't say, oh, I love the Simpsons more than I love Thundercats or G.I. Joe, because, in each one of those fandoms, I'm going in and going, what are my interesting things? So these are all tailored to me in a way so that I really like them, So at the same time, the monolith from 2001 with the spacesuits is one of my favorites. So because
Awesome.
it was just
Yeah.
like, come on, it's awesome.
Is a cult, that also because the movie itself is a cult, no?
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
genius behind that, Stanley Kubrick, I think, is one of the best director ever. No, his
Yeah,
genius that he was able to do a different type of movie, different to touch different world. No, with his creativity. And
yeah,
I think it's pretty original that you do that in the Ultimates line. You put also this 2001.
yeah. You put any guy in a spacesuit at a certain point, and I'm already interested. Oh, guy in spacesuit. Oh, hey, I could get down with this. So then you put a good movie on top of it. You got so
So let's see another super cool style recently revealed by Super7, and is this glow in the dark slash. Looks like that you love so much the glow in the dark because it's not the first one glow in the dark figure in the TMT line. That's right.
no, we've done quite a few. We did Baxter Stockman in blue glow. Then we did the whole lineup of turtles in glow. Glow is just awesome. I mean, is
Yeah.
there a time when glow on a toy has ever been one of those things where you're like, I really wish it didn't glow? There's never been a time in your entire life when glow showed up and you were like, oh, this would have been better without it. It's never happened. And so, yeah, it's just Slash is just one of those great characters. And so we're like, all
Absolutely.
right, I want to do another Slash because he's awesome and I want another one.
Yeah, and speaking of another one, just to speculate, if you can pick, not to spoil something, but to pick something that you think that is a perfect character, another perfect character from the TMT fandom, they could work really well in the Glow in the Dark, which character should be?
I mean, other than all of them, like when we did Baxter Stockman, we talked about it like that was when he got into the bug zapper, the
Yeah.
flash of light. We've definitely done that a few times. Like when we did the Masters one, it was Transformation He-Man, and that's why he glowed. It'd be cool to see a glow in the dark pink Krang. Trying to think, we already did Mutagen Man. So I think Muckman and Joe Eyeball would look really great in glow.
Yeah.
In fact, I know they would. That's not saying anything though. I'm just
No.
just
It's just to think.
people are like, he's confirmed it. No. Muckman and Joe Eyeball, they're gross and oozy. It'd be great. But at the same time, like you could go back to somebody like, that's more traditional, like even a Bebop or a Rocksteady, and have an irradiated moment with them. I don't think Shredder would work. I'm not
Yeah.
sure glow in the dark would work on Shredder.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Plus brown glow would probably just kind of be like, oh.
Yeah, sounds weird.
Yeah,
Brown glow.
exactly. There's other problems going on if you've got brown glow. Or maybe it's one of the future figures.
Let's see. Stay tuned, guys.
Yeah.
Another things that I like so much from you, Super7, because when I was a kid, I tell you a little story. I was frustrated because many times when I watched the show, the cartoon, like Master of the Universe, like J. Joe, the figures were good, but I want at the time a cartoon accurate figure, like to have in your hands the show, the figure from the character from the show, no? So when you announced revealed the G.I. Joe cartoon accurate and also the Transformers in the same time in both Ultimates and Reaction, I blow my mind this idea because it's something that I like so much, something that never happened before. This is the reason why I have my hope for Bryson at the same time. So I want to take a look also the recent new wave about G.I. Joe Reaction cartoon accurate. Tell me something about the choices of this character and some behind the scene if you have about this wave.
We went, all over the place with this a little bit. Every wave, I try to, there's sort of like you need to have an anchor, if you will, an anchor Cobra guy and an anchor Joe guy. So the way we always line up these waves is there's an equal number of Joe figures as there are Cobra figures. So what is the anchor? And the anchor is usually a main character. So in this case, Snake Eyes. But which Snake Eyes should we do? Okay, well, they've never made Snake Eyes from the arena where he's fighting Duke, where Duke's got the glow in the dark sword and he's got the glowing spear with the net with the ankle controllers. So we're like, okay, that's a cool Snake Eyes. That's going to be the first part. That's the anchor. And then obviously, if you're going to do that Snake Eyes, you need the Duke to go with them. So then we have that. Then it's like, okay, well, where do we want to go from there? And, we came back to Junkyard because we had done a version of him with the PSA, release. So we needed a proper Junkyard. And then with the Army Builder, we generally go with like definitely trying to find some sort of Joe figure that's never been made. And so the MP had never been made. So we did with the MP. On the Cobra side, same thing. What is my anchor? And it was like, okay, Cobra Commander is always your number one on the Cobra side. Always. Like Destro and Baroness are a hot number two, but Cobra's on. And we were just like, what's a different way to do Cobra Commander and something that not everybody has? And so, what you see is the Palatoy version of what Cobra Commander was. So we went there and said, okay, we're going to do Action Force. We're going to do Palatoy here. Zaymot and Tomax were a no-brainer, and they kind of go together. And then Raven was a really cool one. Because same thing, like, how has Raven never been made, really? And let's make Raven. And the original plan was that she would come out for every 4 that were in a box, 3 would have the patch on her arm and 1 wouldn't, because she rips the patch off at the end of the episode and defects from Cobra. But that actually proved to be problematic for stores that have online, specifically Target, because if somebody ordered it and then they got the wrong one, they would want to return it. So we'll figure out how to bring her back without that at some point, just as a super limited run for the people that really want that. But it was, she's just a really great character. And you're like, how did she never get made? And the girls in G.I. Joe are really important. We've got Baroness, you've got Scarlet, you've got, Lady J, you've got CoverGirl, you've got a host of, Captain Deming, you've got all these really cool female characters built in. So I usually try to find a place, if there is in the wave organically, that makes sense to also have a female Joe character. And then when we got to the Army Builder on the Cobra side, we debuted at San Diego that Cobra camo, where it's that blue camo, but it's got the Cobra snake skin through it. And we're like, okay, let's bring out, the camo. You see camo a lot on the Joe figures, but you don't really see it on the Cobra figures. So we're like, Cobra's got some camo, so let's do Cobra camo.
Absolutely. My favorite of this wave are the 2 twin, Thomas and Xamot, because they remember me a lot of the cartoon, the show, so I like so much. And I hope one day to have also them in the Ultimates size, because it's interesting also see that there is, just to talk about, not just to speculate or to do some spoiler, but there is especially one character that is maybe one of your favorite that you didn't touch so far in the Ultimates or Reaction.
Well, the next wave of Reaction has one of my favorite characters.
Oh. And
so it's going to be a real weird deep cut one. I was really excited about when we made I think they call him, right now I'm even blanking on what we call him. I believe he's called the Space Trooper. But, when they're in mass device in space, the Cobra guy's in space. I was like, that's such a cool design, and it's never been made. That one I was really excited about. And then the Game Master drone with the face painted on it. The Game Master drone was the other one that I was super, super excited. Just because they're so cool and they're so unexpected. And it's, I don't know. Those were the ones I was really pumped on.
Awesome. I'm a Dreadnought guy, so I'm very happy for the reaction Zartan. I hope to see also an Ultimates of him and also more Dreadnoughts in the future. Could be possible, do you think?
Yeah, Buzzer and everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe one of these days.
Oh, finger crossed. Can't wait. So let's see another of the recent release by Super7. We move for something that is really topic today because the new series and everything. I talk about Willow reaction figure. Tell me how started this project. Tell me something about the behind the scenes also for this web in general about this project.
I mean, we've been trying to get on different Lucasfilm properties forever, obviously, with no real luck. And then obviously they were going to launch the new TV show. And we were really excited about trying to figure out how we could get involved with that. Obviously, the old movie, for people that grew up on Star Wars especially, Willow is considered Star Wars adjacent. For people that are a little bit younger than me, surprisingly, lots of people love Willow in the regard of like it was on every day after school on TV or something. So they will have watched it like 30 times. And there's a lot of love for Willow out there, and nothing ever really proper has been done. You have the little figures and stuff, but there never was a proper toy line for Willow. So we were really excited about going back and doing Willow. And then obviously, I think on the Lucasfilm side, they really like the idea of like, hey, how do we re-energize the old property to get people to care about the new property? So we were able to get in there and finally make not only Willow, but General Kale. I mean, come on, look at that guy.
Awesome. I think also is the perfect time for that. I see now there is a super chat, so to respect the guy that put his money for the show, I read this question. Will 8 inches Shogun expand into the other EPS like TMNT and Thundercats? Any expansion to indie video games and indie comics? New original IP for Super7?
When he says the 8-inch Shogun expand into other IPs, does he mean other jumbo machinders scaled down to 8-inch? Maybe he can respond with clarification.
Yeah, maybe.
As far as other original IP, yeah, there's some stuff coming. I think we teased it earlier this year. Let me check what month it officially, I think, is it May? Maybe it's earlier.
Also because I think that you are in advance of some years, so maybe you forgot the actual time, no? Sometimes in the schedule.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to look at like when things actually come out. Hold on one second.
No problem.
So the month of May, you get weirdest. So you have the worst. Now you're going to get the weirdest. So it's another wave of the worst. So worst wave 4 is called the weirdest. So there's some really cool characters in there. And then there's a couple other things that we're working on that are unique to us. Did you get a clarification on that question?
8 inches scaled down, he says.
Other 8-inch scale down. So he's talking about taking a big, I assume he means taking a big Shogun and scaling it down to 8 inches.
Yeah, there is another.
Like how the 20-point Shogun, will we see TMNT in that scale? Well, TMNT already is 8-inch. The Ultimates line is the same scale.
Okay. I think maybe we got the answer. However, in the last few minutes, If
Yeah,
someone
we'll
it's
keep
okay.
going back on this question. We'll come back
Yeah.
to it. It's fine.
We come back exactly. Also, because we start to talk about centimeters, inches, and numbers, I start to be confused because with numbers I'm no good.
Yeah, everybody else in the world uses the metric system, but us. Like even England, who invented inches, said, you know what? Metric system's a better system, and they switched. We didn't switch, but that's because America is America sometimes, and they're not always the brightest.
But because I'm a wrestling fan, I know the weight. For example, I know that if you're a 6 foot 8 inches tall, it's like 2 and 3 centimeters, 2 meters and 3 centimeters.
Yeah.
Because of wrestling, I'm a fan. I have another channel of wrestling, a huge channel of wrestling. So I know that the weight is in pounds. So, for example, 250 pounds is like 113 kilos.
Yeah. That
However,
there are times where, especially when we would earlier in my career, when I was doing more work for Nike, everything was in metric. And at a certain point, like I knew metric better than I knew uh, the American system, I will call it now. And now I'm like, I can't remember. I just know that 30 centimeters is 9 inches.
yeah. And now let's take a look at another recent release. Let's talk about music. Tell me something about this figure.
Now, Cliff Burton.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the Ultimates Cliff Burton. We are actually making this with the estate of the Burton family. The money goes to a charity that was established in his name many, many years ago that provides music scholarships to the high school that he attended. So they've actually given out quite a lot of them. And obviously, his nickname is the Major Rager, but, great, great guy, great everything. The family is super nice. And then the Misfits are also nice enough to let us use their logo on the shirt because, you shouldn't see Cliff without that Misfits t-shirt.
Yeah.
So, no, it's super cool. And the, Brian Liu that works here was very good friends with Cliff and obviously the rest of Metallica, but very good friends with him. And so this is all sort of, for lack of a better description, within the family.
Oh, awesome. And I think also continue your side in music because with Super7 you did a lot of figures in different way about music. So and I think it's become a part of your tradition also, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of music coming. There's a lot of punk rock, there's a lot of heavy metal, and there's a lot of hip hop.
And which type of music do you like, by the way?
I'm punk first, but growing up, I was sort of like I grew up in the air. My dad was in the Air Force, and so we'd move around all the time. And when I was like 8, 9 years old, 10, we lived over in Bitburg, Germany, and there's only one radio station, Armed Forces Network. So you're only hearing very, very filtered stuff. So I'd have like my little tape of songs I taped off the radio, and the only thing I knew were like Cat Stevens songs and Sailing by Christopher Cross, very, very mellow stuff. I think the most up-tempo thing I knew at that time was like Daryl Hall and John Oates.
Okay.
And then I think I was 13 and we were back in the States, and we had moved back and I'd been there for a while. And I went over to my aunt and uncle's and they had MTV, like like year one MTV kind of thing. And I saw Def Leppard for the first time. I saw a Radio Clash as well, and Bow Wow Wow's I Want Candy. But being in San Antonio, Texas, I couldn't find out anything about Bow Wow Wow. I couldn't find anything out about the Clash, but I could find out about Def Leppard. And then once I found out about Def Leppard, and Aldo Nova. I don't remember if you remember Aldo Nova.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Aldo Nova song Fantasy. That blew my mind. I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. That and Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll. Aldo Nova's Fantasy is amazing. Like, he flies in to this video on a helicopter. He jumps up in this leather print onesie kind of thing. And the door to the club is closed. So he pulls off his guitar and a laser blast comes out of his guitar and blows open the door right as the guitar riff kicks in.
Cool.
It's so 80s. It's terrible, but I loved it. I'd never seen anything like it. So then I was like, okay, Joan Jett is cool. Aldo Nova's cool. Def Leppard's cool. And I think I was at school or somebody, and they were like, oh, you should check out Iron Maiden. And then once I heard Iron Maiden, I was just like, oh, that stuff was kind of cool. But, this stuff, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and then Motorhead. And then as I got into skate videos, we're still talking how I was 13, I think, still at this point. I spent like 6-9 months hardcore into metal before I knew what punk was. And the moment I found out what punk was, especially through skate videos, specifically Bones Brigade 2, and then my friend Chris Janicek bought a cassette tape, a Thrasher compilation, Skate Rock Volume 2, with JFA and the Big Boys, Drunk Engines, all this amazing stuff. Then it was the same thing. Like, it was almost like every time I got introduced to something that was harder and faster, oh, this is for me, as much as I could. And, from that point on, and then I was able to be like, oh, this is how, the Clash is, here's old Clash versus, Rock the Casbah Clash, but this is how this all ties together. I like this stuff, but I had no frame of reference. But still, for me, first and foremost, it's like, just how fast can it be punk rock kind of stuff, and then the metal. But at the same time, at that time, that's when Run DMC and the Beastie Boys came out, which was, pervasive and amazing. But really, when Public Enemy came out, I don't know how much you're familiar with Public Enemy or not.
I know really well Public Enemy because when I was a kid, I was a fan of rap music. So Public Enemy, I remember El Cool J, I remember the Vanilla Ice, but also something a little bit commercial like the Fat Boys. Stuff also.
Well, I mean, it's all a gateway. But when I was like, oh, I like Run DMC and I like the Beastie Boys and it's all cool. But when I heard Public Enemy, you're just like, oh, wait, this is the same thing as punk rock, but over here. Yeah. Like, these guys are aggressive, they're angry, and they know what the hell they're talking about, and they have a political point of view. And I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened. It Takes a Nation of Millions is such an epic record. And, from there, so I'm never going to be the guy that claims to be the hip hop guy. I listen to a lot of hip hop, but I can't claim it the way, like, you want to talk to me about punk rock, I can get into the genus and species level of everything in here. Like, oh, I can tell you what guy was in the band from what year and what he did next and how that went here. And they only made a demo tape, but the 7-inch came out on here with only 200 pressed with this cover and 300 with that. Like, I can get into the weeds. I can't do that with hip hop. I think I know a lot about it, but I can't claim to be that guy.
Cool. Speaking of metal, I like also some group like Dream Theater or Nightwish. They do some contamination with other type of music also too. Dream Theater call it metal progressive because remember a little bit the rock progressive of the 70s. But I like also other type of music, like Peter Gabriel, for example. Different. I split myself in different type of music. Maybe you can believe why you listen this and these are totally different type of music.
Well, it was always funny because the thing that I would go back and forth with, especially in, as I got into more of my college years, I'd spent so much time and I was just heavy involved in the punk scene, doing flyers, helping out, making record covers, helping book shows, just being involved. And I would listen to that all day long. And when I needed a break, I would go straight back to 1970s funk and disco. That was the flip side. It was like, oh God, then I'm going to listen to Parliament Funkadelic, obvious, Zap, Sterling Silver Spaceship, Quasar, Bootsy's Rubber Band. I would go completely the opposite direction. And it's like, okay, you've been listening to darkness all day. Now I'm going to listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire because Let's Groove is one of the best songs ever recorded.
Also because there is different type of music. They also reflect different type of mindset that we have. No, sometimes you need to listen to something really strong, really angry. Sometimes you need something a little bit quiet or a little bit melancholy. Depends your state in the state of mind at that moment. No, it's the magic of the art in general. By the way.
Yeah, I always felt that the energy was actually pretty similar. Like, you can't sit still at a punk show, and you can't sit still if Let's Groove from Earth, Wind, and Fire is playing. It's just not going to happen. You're just going to be like, oh, here we go. Let's go.
So let's see another of the new releases. Tell me something about this guy.
This one is dear to my heart. So Steve Caballero, the cover of the June 1985 Thrasher with the braided hair, the blue Ratbone sweatshirt. This is in the Square Pool in San Jose, shot by Mofo. It also is in Bones Brigade Video 2, Future Primitive. This is it's one of the most iconic covers from my era. And this is sort of the lead up into the PAL figures that are coming out. So this was a special release just on our sites and at skate shops only. So you could only get this at skate shops and super7.com for skate shop day. And
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, look at that front side invert. Like, everybody on earth wishes they could do a front side invert like Steve Cab.
Yeah.
Nobody really can. He owns that trick. He's got a trademark on it.
Absolutely. Let's see. The next one is we change word now with Charlie Brown reaction.
Yeah, the I Hate Valentine's Day, Charlie Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of those things where we were talking about what we wanted to do for Valentine's Day, and there's a lot that we come back to with Peanuts. But just, that people love Peanuts, but Peanuts isn't always about happiness. There's a lot of unhappy, moments in childhood, and, there's that one of the shows where, everybody's getting Valentine's in their bag, and he empties his bag and there's none. And he's like, I hate Valentine's Day. So we're like, all right, that's where we're going for Valentine's Day this year. I hate Valentine's Day.
And now, just to speculate, just to imagine, just to dream, we know the super cool project about the turtle van, about the Thunder Tank, and especially probably my favorite for Super7, that they still love you so much for that, the snake mounting, that every time they watch that, they're super happy with it because it's something that only Super7 can do that. There is something in the future really big like that?
Yeah, we've got another thing planned. Got to get you your... People are getting their Thunder Tanks, but not everybody has them yet, depending especially where you live in the world. But I think it seems like a lot of people have gotten them, but still enough people haven't. And we need to give people another visual update on Turtle Van. And then, there's going to be another vehicle in the works. So
awesome.
We're pretty excited about it.
So can't wait to discover in which fandom will touch. Can't wait to discover that.
Exactly. All of that remains a mystery.
So we got a little anticipation. We don't know in which brand, but something big that is coming from Super7. And you know what it means, guys? Will be something super cool like snake mounting. And now you got the Thunder Tank and also the Turtle Van will be another super cool things. But now we move on with another recent release. We do the present, We come back to the present, like back in the future. We go back and forward in the time. However, my English, I think if we compare this is the 6th episode with you. If we can do a comparison between this episode, the first one, maybe it's a little bit better, just a little bit.
Trust me, it's much better than my Italian.
Do you never visited Italy? Maybe I did this question to you many times.
Yes, we went to Rome a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic really kind of kicked off. We went to Rome, spent a week in Rome. It was lovely.
Awesome. If you come back to Italy, especially in the North Italy, ring the bell. You will be my guest. We discover together something.
I don't know if you get this over there, or you probably wouldn't care even if you did. But did you ever see the Stanley Tucci show about Italy?
No, I did. I know who is Stanley Tucci, awesome actor, but I didn't.
There's a TV show that he did over the last couple of years where he goes to every state, province, whatever you call it.
Providence.
Every province. And he talks, eats, and the food that's specific to that area. And he eats through all of Italy. And it makes you want to go to every province and eat everything in Italy.
Cool, because the food is one of the better things in Italy. Food and monument. But beside that, the Italian music is awful. The contemporary Italian music, the contemporary movie, really bad. But the food is one of the best things in Italy today.
And museums,
absolutely. Paints, sculpture, yeah, absolutely. That one, yes. But no music. The current Italian music is awful because the producers put themselves in something really bad. However, back on track. This one, tell me something about this guy.
Man, it's the Rodan, what should have been called the Shogun Warrior Rodan, but was not. If you have the Shogun Godzilla, they then made a Rodan. It wasn't part of the Shogun Warriors series, but it was in scale with Godzilla. The Rodan is much, much harder to find. It is very expensive. So we made a little pocket-sized one for you. So we scaled it down like we did with the Shogun Godzilla. And that's Rodan.
It's super cool.
It's super cool.
Absolutely. Let's see the next one. This is one of my favorite because I was a fan of the series. So tell me something. If it will be more about reaction monsters or maybe in another way.
Yeah, there is another wave of reaction monsters. Yes.
Awesome.
And
I think it should be also interesting to see them in the Ultimates size. Also.
maybe one day. Right now, just in reaction, but the response was really good, and we have a second wave coming.
So can't wait, guys, to see how it looks. I think this is the last one for my slide, but we go back to the random question, and in the last minutes, if you okay for you, we will answer some question from the chat from the supporter of the channel and the supporter of Super7, because everybody that watch this channel, they know that I support Super7 every news. Because you touch many brands they like. Absolutely, my favorite are Transformers and J. Joe, in the top. But I like also what you did for TMNT, Thundercats, Silverhawks. I like it because I like this philosophy of Super7. They try to do something different, something that we never see before. And is not easy, I think, because in the toy business we can find many stuff, different way, reboot after reboot. So it's also a big challenge. But it's a creativity way to do that. Tell me something about that, your philosophy.
Well, I mean, we're all toy collectors, right? So I don't need something I already have. I need something I don't have. So that's what I try to make, the thing I don't have. What's the thing I want on my shelf? That's what I'm going to make.
Awesome. And because you touch different type of figure, because Ultimates is one thing, reaction other things, different brands, so different style of design. What is the the process to pick the right designer team or designer to do something? How works?
I mean, you have different people who have different strengths, so it's pretty easy to know who we need internally working on that stuff. I mean, we look at it too as there's crossover. There's almost like two different kinds of collectors. Some people are in both camps, but when you're talking about reaction, you're mostly talking to an older collector, and they're very much feeling nostalgic for an old style of toy. So they read nostalgia very heavily into it, and then it is applied to license they love. So it makes them feel like they were a kid again. Where if you didn't grow up with 3 3/4 figures, a lot of people are like, this is shitty articulation. Like, who cares? But if you grew up with 3 3/4 figures, you're like, I'm 8 years old again, and this is amazing.
Yeah.
When you deal with Ultimates, it's like the different, which is you're talking to a very modern toy collector. They have a certain expectation around size, an expectation around articulation, an expectation around paint and likeness, and you're dealing with something that's, for lack of a better description, a little bit more literal and a little less emotional. It's still emotional, but it's not the same way like reaction is to a person of a certain age. Now, you can be a person that loves both, but usually if you really love that license, but at least we have people that are like, 100 to 75% of one form factor and 0 to 25% of another. They're either kind of, I'm a reaction person or I'm an Ultimates person. And sometimes I cross over, but for the most part, I'm either in one camp or the other. And it's usually based on their age.
Yeah. So, another question is this, because when the people that follow this show knows that you were in the show other five times, so knows that you are a
I need to get
friend
a
of the show.
crown. Next time I
absolutely.
come on, I'm going to wear 7 just for this.
The next time is just for 7. Also because I believe that because some people went to my show 4 times, 5 times, but you are the only one 6 times, I think. Yes,
Here we go. I'm with it.
You are the number one. So the people knows that you can be in the future in my show, and I think it's 3 months. I think that I got many requests. When Brian will come back? When Brian will come back? So it's a typical question on the follow the channel. But that means also that Super7 now is really popular for the collector. But what is for you? Which of the many fandom that you touch was the beginning of this success of Super7? Which brand give you this new popularity?
Well, I mean, Super7 started out as a magazine about collecting toys, specifically Japanese toys. And why? Was because I love Godzilla, and you could get Tomarts or Action Figure News and Toy Review. There were things that talked about action figures. In Japan, there was Hyper Hobby or Figure King, but I couldn't really read them. So we started out as a magazine about talking about Japanese toys. And we were making vinyls and toys in Japan. And we did that for a very, very long time. I think, 12, 13 years before we got the opportunity to make reaction figures. So how that happened is we made all that stuff. We got the opportunity through Paul Southern to make the Stormtrooper Super Shogun, which was amazing. And then after that, we were like, what is the thing I always wanted? And I always wanted those alien prototypes that were on the cover of Tomarts. And we decided we wanted to try to make that. We never thought that there were that many other people that would want that. We thought, oh, you're talking about unreleased 3 3/4 prototypes that are low articulation, low paint app, low likeness. Like, no one wants this except the real diehard nerds. And what we didn't realize was that everyone my age was looking for that still collected toys, was make something that I had like I was a kid. So once we made that alien reaction figure set, then that was the point where Super7 started growing into what you know it is now. So we spent a good 12 years just being 2 or 3 people. And then now it's different, but that was the turning point, was the alien reaction figure.
Awesome. Also, because also as an artist, I try to, I'm looking for a turning point in different stuff that they did. Sometimes, for example, for YouTube, as a YouTuber, in my other channel of wrestling, the turning point was a news about an injury of a wrestler, Braun Strowman. I did that. That video became viral with over 2 million views, close to 3 millions. And because of that, the channel became bigger. So it's something also that as unexpected sometimes. No, you did many things,
Yeah.
and maybe something that you never wondered that was the turning point became the turning point. So
Well, you were saying that about the video, like you were just doing yet another one of the videos like you'd always had.
yeah,
That one, for whatever reason, caught fire. Same thing. We were making the reaction alien, thinking, there'll be maybe a small group of people that want it, but we had no idea that it would be bigger. And it was like, oh, and then when you look back, you can see the moment. You can be like, it was right here. Like that's when it happened. And same thing for you.
exactly. Now I have another question related, but not so much. So, for example, I'm a collector. I have a big room only for my action figures. But I have many friends that are not collector. No, it's not easy sometimes. Try to explain why you love collect. Tonight, for example, earlier today, I have a dinner with some friends of the family, with my girlfriend, other guys. And I try to explain with a guy that was maybe 60, something like that. He's a sculptor that work on woods. No, and he tried to understand what I do tonight with my show, with my channel, to what it is an action figure. No, and it's
Right.
not easy sometimes to explain why you love this. No, because if you are not inside, maybe they don't understand really well. What is the reaction for your friends that are not collector? They don't know nothing about this world.
I think the first thing you have to know is just, do you collect anything? Are they a collector in general? Some people are collectors. Like I'm sure, Alan, during your life you have collected many things,
Yeah,
not just toys.
yeah,
And so first off, you have to be that kind of person that wants to collect, that understands the collect, that wants to hunt for things and look for things and study things and understand what's different and how they make you feel, and it's all those kind of things. If you're not that person, it's going to be very difficult to have them understand. Um, but I've seen as you get older, like you talk to people what they're passionate about, maybe. Oh, they really like to eat. They travel to go to restaurants and they love that. It's like, okay, they're collecting that experience. They're collecting that emotion that goes with that and the anticipation. Or, maybe they're very into a sports team and that, they go to all the games. In some ways, they're collecting that experience. It's something different, but it's like, I can't explain what the true hold is on toys. I just know for me, when I see them, especially, there'll be things that are very off the beaten path that I will get not obsessed with, but very into, where, there's no malice in toys. There's no negative emotions, I don't think.
yeah,
They're always just, there's something fun and happy about them when they're done right, So a lot of times, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I'll look back at some really crudely made dime store 1970s version of a thing, and I'll be just as fascinated with it because the intent behind it was to create this joy. And so
yeah.
even as crude as it is, it still exudes this wonderful aura, if you will. It sounds very hippie, but but where like sometimes now people try to make things look crappy on purpose. And it's like, no, now it loses the charm. Because it's not like that person was trying to make a bad thing. That's the best they could do, and they put it out. I say that a lot about like things like Mexican blow molds from the 1960s and 70s. They're terrible, but they're wonderfully terrible. And I love them. But now people try to make new blow molds and, like that are terrible. And you're like, these don't have that same charm because the person making the one back then was trying to the best of their ability to make them. And you're like, oh, that's what you can tell when you pick it up. You're like, this is awesome. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And then there's definitely things where things I hate to, I'm trying to think of a great way to put this, but things manufactured the wrong way are always fascinating to me. Like there are a bunch of blow molded polyethylene toys from Russia from the 70s, full like big articulated action figures. And it's like, you pick the absolute worst possible material and manufacturing process to make this. Yet you did it. Like, why? It makes no sense. But that's what gives it its charm. Yeah, but there's all sorts of other things. Like we were talking to a friend just the other day about these things. Hold on. Oh no, the tape is stuck to it. Hold on. We were talking about these. Oh, there we go. But like just some of this stuff, like just the art on this. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah. You feel the vibes of that moment, of that era when you watch
it. It's just like, they're like, yeah, just put fluorescent pink and yellow behind it. Is there any other Shogun stuff that's fluorescent pink and yellow? No.
But also, I think it's impossible repeat the feelings, no? Of that it's impossible redo the same things to receive the same feelings when you watch something. Like you got a vinyl, old vinyl of music, no, the same things, no. Maybe the quality of the audio is not perfect, but there's something poetic about it. When you open this old vinyl or old book, also, for example.
Or like you find some record that, some band only pressed a local band, never did anything. They only pressed 100 copies and their friend in art class drew the cover. And it's kind of terrible, but it's amazing in its terribleness where you're just like, they were trying their best to make the coolest thing they could. And in it, there's a wonderful innocence and beauty to it. Yeah. I can't speak. I'm not great when it comes to a lot of the international, especially European punk that came out, like Italy's famous for raw power, but some of the other bands, but in American record collecting, at least, all of those records are now the most expensive records. More than the popular bands because they're hard to find. And when you put them on, you can't replicate that sound today. It's like, oh no, this sounds like 1981.
Absolutely.
And even if this other band was amazing and that's why everybody knows about them, this band wasn't bad. They weren't necessarily good, but it's a perfect time capsule. And that stuff is lovely.
Absolutely. Now we move to the question for the last 10 minutes from the fan of the channel and the fan of Super7. So
before we start, real quick, am I clear on your end because you have frozen on my end?
Yeah. Now you can. I'm right. I move myself now.
No. You're completely frozen, but I can hear you, so it's okay.
Okay. Because I see in another device, I see that I'm frozen. That's right. I don't know why I'm frozen. However, in Italy, we have really bad connection that I call many times Jurassic connection also in this time of the night. So
Okay.
yes, you see in the other device that I'm frozen. I hope that the voice works.
At least you're frozen in a smile.
Yeah, I see, because they can see in the other, because they watch in the other device to be to hope that everything works with the connection, no?
Yeah.
Because in one of my interview with the Asbury J. Joe team was a storm outside, and because of that, they still along in the show, and they were awesome enough to ending the show without me answer the question for the fan because a storm broken the line.
No, you're back now.
I'm back. I move myself. Yes, I see myself. The move also in the other screen. Okay.
All right. Welcome
So
back,
I
Alex.
want go to the question from the fan because some of them waiting this interview for a while.
Okay.
So let's see. I think I know this question, but I put this question from Ultramag03. Ask him if the Silverhawks are. I don't think they are dead. It's impossible. Come on.
No, we just have to deliver wave one before I can do. Everybody's got these crazy theories about what's going on with Silverhawks. It's like nothing's going on with Silverhawks. I had to switch factories and I have to get these out. Wave one already shipped from the factory. Wave two comes another week or two shipped from the factory. You're going to start seeing them in people's hands, hopefully within the next 30 days. And then after that, wave four.
Yeah, another question related with J. Joe by Brian C. Is the J. Joe reaction Tiger Force repaint wave that's coming in August the next wave coming out, or there is another wave before it?
That's the next full wave, and they're not completely just repaints. There's some interesting stuff happening in the Tiger Force wave. But at San Diego, we are having a G.I. Joe pop-up. Last time it was the Cobra Recruitment Center. Now it's G.I. Joe International Operations.
Awesome.
So there's going to be some cool figure exclusives that go with that.
Another dream for David Saras. I need dinosaurs, please, Brian.
You're not the only person that needs dinosaurs. I do get that one quite a bit.
I like it. If it will be cartoon accurate, I will like it because I love the old cartoon dinosaurs. Yes, this is a question for Brian. For a solid fan of the channel, J. Joe Ultimates, are we doing to see a changing color Zartan like the cartoon in a future wave?
There is we're going to do a couple things with Zartan. There's a lot of history around Zartan. There's some other things to do with Zartan. So you're going to see some cool shit with Zartan.
There is another question related to Zartan. Zartan is my favorite character, by the way, in the J. Joe line. So I hope to see Zartan also in the line somewhere, in some points in the future.
Yes.
Let's see this one. One Man Toy Show. Hey, Brian, big fan of Super7. All of you guys. I love your Peanuts releases so far. Any plans for a Peanuts Ultimate line?
Not yet on Peanuts. People seem to really like the reaction format and the price point. Quite honestly, the supersize format for Peanuts has been very, very popular. And that's a really cool take on it, where you kind of take what was done in the old days with the toys, with the Hunger Fords, also with sort of what Buddy Lee used to be like in different things. And that's done really well. We haven't really thought about Ultimates with it. Probably more so because I don't know how much more we would be adding to the experience. It's not like with Charlie Brown, you need him to like do kung fu or something. We've never really talked about it. It's an interesting concept because we haven't talked about it, but it's not been one that seemed, I hate to say seemed necessary because that downplays it. But it just seemed like it wasn't something that I'm trying to figure out the right word for it, but maybe it's just that it hadn't really crossed our mind properly. But I think it was just because the the reaction figures felt so appropriate that we never considered it. Maybe that's the right way of saying it, but it's definitely something to think about. I will think about it, One Man Toy Show.
There is a comment about the previous guest of the show today, Chris Garwich from the Forest Studio says, I can't wait to receive my Thunder Tank. It's been so long, so excited. What a beast. It's just like,
I can't wait for you to have it. And then because when you have it, you're going to be shocked and amazed because it's bigger and heavier than you expect.
Another question for One Man Toy Show. Another question for Brian. You have done great work with your Disney releases. Do you have any plans for figures based on classic Warner Brothers animation, like Looney Tunes or Hanna-Barbera?
We have talked a good bit about that. We've got some rights coming that would allow us to do that. There's nothing specific on the calendar right now, but we are definitely talking about it.
Alberto Carrillo says, are we going to have Mutant Skycutter and the Nose Diver? When I read English, my English goes down, become really bad.
No, are we going to have the Mutant Skycutter and the Nose Diver for Thundercats Ultimates? Skycutter is one that gets brought up a lot. It's very possible. It's not in the cards quite yet. We're still trying to decide what the next thing is for vehicles in Thundercats. But Skycutter is the one that a lot of people seem to be asking about. There's a couple others, but Skycutter is really one of the ones people ask about.
Yeah, let's see other questions. Michael McFarland Jr. says, Brian, have you ever considered remaking the old stickers books like Panini did back in the 80s?
Well, the first part about that, obviously, is that is a European thing. We didn't get Panini stickers until, I would say, early 2000s. We never had them here. I remember them, like I said, when I was in Germany in 78, 79, 80. I remember all the bus stops would be covered in the stickers of all the soccer players that nobody liked. But we never had the Panini stickers. And that's definitely one of those things where, as an American Star Wars collector, you start to get into later, and then you're like, oh my God, there's like 380 of these stickers, and then the books and everything. It's very cool. I don't know that the American customer really even knows or cares about it. And I realize our customers aren't just in America. We did the Garbage Pail Kids times Universal Monsters trading cards. We did the worst trading cards. We've got another trading card set coming up. So, if those keep going well, there's definitely a time when we'll start talking about stickers, probably. There's a crazy one. There's a set that came out in both Argentina and Spain called Monstro, I believe, Monstros. And it's a whole sticker book full of just crazy, insane monsters. Some of them are badly drawn bootlegs of old 80s IP. Lots of it is just crazy horror stuff and weird monsters. That book is amazing. There's definitely stuff around that that's super cool. So I've rambled. So we're not quite there for the Panini stuff yet, but maybe one day, Michael.
So now we move for the last one because we are over 1 hour. So let's see, Justin, the guy that paid before for the Shogun question.
The Shogun question, because I kind of paid for it. So are we talking about? I think what he's asking me is, are we going to take any more of the big 24-inch Shoguns like Mazinger, Deimos, Raideen, those kind of figures, and scale them down to 8-inch? I think that is the question that he's asking me. If that is the question, like right now, I can't really do that just because I don't have the license for those. That doesn't mean that I don't want to. I'm trying to get, obviously, hold on. There we go. I love this stuff. So I would love to see it done. For all you Italians, scale down your Goldorak.
Yeah.
You know, Iron Jig, Kotetsu Jig. I think you call him Jig, don't you?
Jig. Yeah, jig.
Jig. Because like for reason, Jig is big in Italy, but nowhere else except Japan. But yes, I would like to. We have not gotten that far. If you look back years and years ago, we made them as 3 3/4 figures, as reaction figures. So yes, it would only make sense to fill in the blanks and make 8-inch Shoguns, but we have not gotten there yet.
So finger crossed. So let's see what happened. And now it's time for the last question, but it's like a reverse question because I'm a G.I. Joe fan. I'm a Transformers fan. Maybe are my two favorite license from Super 7. I like also TMNT and Thundercats, but these one are my favorite. But there is another. Try to ask me. You know me, no? Bracewell Filmation is my favorite. Hope for Super 7. But there is another show when I was a kid that I discovered that it's not really popular in US, but it was made in US. It was my favorite cartoon as a kid. That we never got a modern era or cartoon accurate figure for that. Which one could be? Try to guess which one could be for me.
If it was big in Italy, but not big in the United States.
Big for me, for my friends. I don't know if it was big for everybody in Italy, but to me, it was big. To me.
Animated show?
Yeah.
Animated in America or animated in Europe?
In America, in America. Made by America.
Huh?
Made in America.
Made in America. That was not that popular, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there is. I give you a little advice. There is a gorilla in the show.
Are you talking about Magilla Gorilla? Are you talking about Grape Ape?
No, there is a gorilla, and the main evil guy is a guy dressed with a big long red cape, and the voice of this character is the same of Skeletor.
Are you talking about Herculoids?
No. There is also a little pink bat in front of the good boys.
Oh, I keep going back and forth. They keep wanting to be like it's like Groovy Ghoulies and stuff, but it's not. Fuck, pink bat. See, I keep picturing Groovy Ghoulies.
No, there is the name of. I'll give you this. Is I don't know if it began because I don't know if you watch this show. The name of the main evil guy, or maybe I have a picture for it. Let's see if I have a picture to put in the background. Because I think I have it. Because I did an interview with people that work on that. Let's see if I still. Yeah, this one is a big help. However, take a look. I changed a little bit my setup. And now I share you a big picture of that because I did an interview with people that work on that. And you can see in the background a character that I'm talking about. Let's see. No, you can see because there is my Dio. Let's see.
The build-up.
There is my Dio right here. Let's see. Like right here, you can see maybe. No.
No, now you're frozen.
I think it's time to reveal what is this show because now it's a filmation show. I love Master of the Universe. I love Master Bracelet. Do you know what is the other filmation show?
Which one are you talking about? I'm all I keep picturing is Groovy Ghoulies.
In the picture, you can see only a little part of the cape.
I can't. You're frozen. I can't see you.
Oh, once again. Okay, I need to tell you because you can see me. The show was the filmation Ghostbusters.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot about Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is right now they're under exclusive license to Hasbro. So no one can make anything toy-wise for Ghostbusters except Hasbro. Because in my mind, there's a lot of Ghostbusters product that needs to be made. There's a lot of stuff that's never been made. Very cool stuff. And then you have the original movies, you have the cartoon, there we go. You have the cartoon, you have the toys. There's a host of other things to do. There's a lot of stuff with Ghostbusters that should be done, including the real Ghostbusters.
And this one is the filmation one. So because there is a story behind that, because the first filmation show, the first cartoon was the filmation one that is inspired by the old live action show.
Yeah.
And the characters are different, are not the characters that we saw in the real Ghostbusters. And then in the same year, few weeks later, was aired also the real Ghostbusters, is more related with the movie. So I like the movie, but my first Ghostbuster World Filmation, I'm a big fan of that. However, I go to the piano, to the final song.
To the final song.
We love Super7 and the Ultimates. Awesome figures in different brand and awesome challenge. And we love Brian Flynn and many awesome figures, because also Brian still forever the first ever guest of the show. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of you guys. See you soon next week. The next episode on Saturday will be with my fellow YouTuber. Return to my channel, The Amazing. So goodbye to all of you. And thank you, Brian. And thank you to all of you guys. Goodbye, guys.